TYT Sports, everybody. Ben Mankiewicz, Steve-O. NBA playoffs, we're now down to 4, and stunningly, Steve, no one saw it coming. It's the 1 and 2 seed in each conference.
Yeah, just a lot of false drama in the first few rounds. We end up with...
Well, real drama, but false hope.
Yeah, we end up with the 4 teams that we all expected 7 months ago.
That's exactly right. The West was obviously more intriguing because everybody knew that it seemed as though the Rockets and the Clippers, maybe even the Warriors, had a shot at making something happen. And with the exception of the Rockets, they did. The Clippers definitely made something happen. They just played a pretty exciting 6-game series with Oklahoma City that obviously could have gone differently. In fact, if the bizarre finish to Game 5 goes differently at a bare minimum, we have a Game 7 in that series coming up on Sunday, which maybe the Clippers win, or being up 3-2, maybe Game 6 goes differently in the degree of desperation. We always presume that desperation helps, but desperation might hurt, and maybe the Clippers would have won Game 6 and gone on. So the Clippers, I think, sort of can hold their heads up high in the sense that they are every bit nearly as good as Oklahoma City and damn near won that series.
So today, there's a post-mortem on the Clippers. What went wrong? What pieces do they need to add next year? And, what can they do better? I think they're overanalyzing. Here's what they can do better. Not give away a game in the last 13 seconds of a pivotal game.
When you're
5.
up 7 with 48 seconds to play, win.
Yeah.
That's what they can do better.
Yeah, win that game.
Yeah.
Okay, win that game, and then, make a couple more shots. Yesterday, they missed a whole bunch of threes down the stretch that were huge. Jamal Crawford had a good look from the corner. He airballs it. J.J. Redick out of a timeout, perfect pass, and he almost, I'm not sure if it was an airball or not, but he almost airballed it. Matt Barnes had a clean look, he misses, and then Durant comes right back down and he hits a 3. That's like a 6-point swing right there. So you make a couple more shots, you don't give away a critical game, and you move on. That's how it works. It is so hard to win in the NBA. It is so hard. If you give away a game, you can't move on. It's really hard to recover from that.
Yeah, play smarter. I was watching the TNT guys, and they were so focused on, there were something like 8 4-point plays so far in the playoffs, which is crazy. But forget that. There were over 60 fouls of 3-point shooters. And, sometimes it takes the simplicity the simplistic way of analyzing things, but occasionally brilliant, of Charles Barkley. I'm not knocking him. Sometimes he's like, it's the dumbest play in sports. When they're shooting a 3-pointer, don't foul him. Figure out a way to challenge the shot and don't foul him. And so the Clippers, whether they should have gotten the ball on the Reggie Jackson turnover / non-foul or not, don't foul Russell Westbrook when he takes a bad 3-pointer.
That was a bad 3-pointer.
And it was a bad 3-pointer. Don't foul him. And when you're about to get fouled, when you're up by 2, don't jump in the air 65 feet from the basket. And then don't turn the ball over on the last possession. And Chris Paul, to his credit, is owning all of those mistakes, as he should. But that's how they win that game, and then they play Game 6 at home with a chance to close out the series, and who knows if we get a different outcome.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, no need to overanalyze, make a couple more shots, and don't give away a game. Simple as that. Chris Paul, do you think the final 20 seconds of Game 5 will be his legacy?
I think that there's a good chance it will be. I don't think it should be, but I think there's a chance it will be if he doesn't get to a final at a bare minimum.
He hasn't gotten to a conference final yet.
Yeah, I think he needs to probably get to a final to erase that. I mean, I don't like that way of talking because, I mean, the notion that there's a headline today about whether Chris Paul is a big game player, like a real headline, not in a real, yes, he is. He's because he's played so many big games. He played badly, and then he kept seemingly trying to make up for the mistake. One mistake compounded and led to another mistake. Some of them are just freakish, like fouling. Westbrook didn't even seem like such a bad play. He definitely fouled him, but unfortunately, though, we look at winning as a legacy. Thankfully, we do it a little less in basketball because, as you said there, we acknowledge how incredibly hard it is to win in basketball. But I would say he needs to get out of this round. He needs to play in a conference final, maybe go to a final, and obviously winning would go a long way toward erasing that.
That's the thing about sports. It can be so unfair. So, last year in Game 6 of the NBA Finals, if Ray Allen doesn't make that ridiculous play, I mean, that's one of the greatest plays in NBA history, I think, where he caught the ball and in one motion stepped back perfectly without stepping out of bounds.
Right, without stepping out of bounds.
And just lifted and launched that perfect shot, swished. and they win. If that didn't happen, if that series of miraculous plays where they get the rebound, he gets the catch, and he makes the shot, and they lose, then it changes the entire arc of NBA history, where the Heat are kind of losers, right?
They're 1 for 3. If they don't win this year, they go 1 for 4.
Right,
and you're like,
right.
yeah, was it really worth it? Did it work?
So the so-called big three didn't work out, and the whole narrative changes. But because of that play,
A non-member of the big three.
yes,
Right, and of course, if he does that play again and still does the great thing where if he repeats that play a bunch of times, gets it, steps back, but is off by an inch on a shot, which doesn't change who he is at all.
Yep.
Then, or the rotation's slightly different, it kicks off the rim wrong, and that's
all
it.
of a sudden
Spurs
that makes
the Spurs are
LeBron a
NBA
loser. It makes Dwayne Wade a loser. So it's crazy. But that's the nature of sports, and that's what we remember. So Charles Smith, okay, when I say the word Charles Smith, what do you think? Instantly.
7 missed layups.
Yes.
in
right?
5 seconds.
Yes,
Yeah, right, or
that's
whatever
right,
it was.
that's right.
Yeah.
So I think, fairly or unfairly, this will become a big part of his legacy, and people are going to remember this moment of Chris Paul unless he overcomes it.
Unless he overcomes it, and overcoming it's going to require at least one other win in a series. Probably this win and the next one, and maybe he doesn't have to win a final, but he has to play great, get to a final. And I'd like to see him win it because he's a great player, and I don't want people to think that way of him.
I'm so frustrated with him because it was so bizarre for him to collapse that way. But I'm also frustrated because I don't think he takes enough shots in the beginning of the game and throughout the game. He wants to step up at the very end when they absolutely need him. He wants to be a facilitator. I get that, but he has to take charge. He has to hit a couple of threes to set the tone because that actually makes it easier for everyone else. It creates more passing lanes, more driving lanes, more cutting lanes. He has to do that, and he didn't. He was like 1 for 4 yesterday in the first half.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't win.
Yeah, no,
he needs to take more shots.
He ends up 9 of 18, 25 points, 11 assists. You can't really.
But five of those shots were in the last minute and a half when they're scrambling. Okay,
yeah.
He needs to take it in the beginning of the game to set the tone. And the bad thing about the game 5 loss is that Matt Barnes played just out of his mind. Blake Griffin played out of his mind. Jamal Crawford, after a bad start, played out of his mind. Those guys played so well in Game 5. It was all wasted. It was wasted.
You got to win the games you have a chance to win, and then you look because those guys are not. Crawford is this electric offensive player, and there are moments when you think this is the best offensive player in the game. The basket looks like it's 25 feet wide when he's shooting.
Crazy good.
But then you take these guys who played so well. Barnes played more minutes than anybody else in the Clippers last night. He went 42 minutes. He was bad. He was 4 of 14. He had 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 fouls. He did not have the same kind of game, and then
he also missed 2 free throws right before halftime.
One thing that Clipper fans are going to complain about is that the Clippers were complaining about. Paul pointed out that the Thunder shot 33 free throws and the Clippers shot 20. It's not a gigantic, out of control, inexplicable discrepancy, but it's a discrepancy. 13 free throws. The Thunder was 29 of 33. The Clippers were 12 of 20. If you're a great team and if you only shoot 20 free throws, you hit 85% of those free throws. If they hit 17 out of 20, well, that's 5 more points. The game's different. They probably win that game.
Yep.
So make your free throws. The Thunder made 29 out of 33. They did make theirs. The Clippers didn't. They shot 40 of 95. They didn't shoot the ball particularly well. And usually if the Clippers shoot 12 of 20, we're not talking about DeAndre Jordan going 3 of 11. He was 1 of 2. It wasn't on him. It's that Griffin missed 3, Barnes missed 2, Collison missed 1, Granger missed 1.
Yeah, and just going all the way back to the Portland series and that closeout game against Houston, down the stretch, we all applaud Lillard for hitting that awesome 3. But the reality is that Houston should have won that game, but Dwight Howard missed 3 out of his final 4 free throws that he shot that game.
Yeah, he made a bunch.
He made a bunch.
Yeah, but then he missed.
But he missed 3 out of the last 4, and that opened the door. Last year in the NBA Finals, Ginobili misses that free throw. And someone else also missed a free throw at the end. Which
it's always different when a guy like Ginobili misses a free throw and a guy like Howard. But first of all, again, an 80% free throw shooter is going to miss 2 out of every 10 free throws, and it's going to and he's going to miss them with 13 seconds left in the first quarter and 13 seconds left in the game. Like guys don't shoot 80% in the first quarter and 97% in the fourth quarter. It doesn't happen. They have a process and they follow it, and generally,
except Nick Anderson.
Nick Anderson, that's another guy whose legacy will always be defined by 4 horrible missed free throws.
It was actually 5.
Was it 5?
Because he missed one and then he had a do-over because of a lane violation. And he missed it again. So it's so painful.
Somehow that makes it like 10 times worse.
Yeah.
I don't even remember the lane violation. So, look, I don't know that the Clippers need to really change anything. This team is equipped to win. They just need to shoot better and play better at the right time. And a full season of Redick, who was injured a lot. And any time you got a shooter that dynamic, that may well give them, put them in a different situation, give them home court advantage in this series, and maybe that would have mattered. Home court advantage has never mattered less in the playoffs than it appeared to matter this year.